Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy, the first official show of the fantasy football offseason, unless you're crazy enough to play in Week 18, to which have fucking fun with all the quarterbacks that are starting this week. The season is officially over for, I would say, 99.9% of fantasy players. This is our recap show. Who are our busts? Who did we wish we rostered more? Our official Super Bowl playoff predictions. Obviously, catching up on some news and notes. And if you guys are playing this week, or hey, you're throwing a DFS lineup together, drop the questions in. We always answer every single question that comes through. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, reporting as eligible, Joe Zollo. Just want to make sure the camera and everybody, the whole stadium hears that, the opposing defensive line. Reporting is eligible here this week, back with Josh and Ryan. And for the first time in at least a year, Chris Allen, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. I know it's like, when was the last time? Honestly, I can't remember the last time. Like, I think it was on with
Bengals
you.
Preview show or something.
Yeah, it was like, is you and Faith? I thought like we were on together at some point.
Oh, that would have been a start-sit show.
Yeah, maybe a start-sit show. Man, it feels like, I mean, this whole season feels like it was a lifetime ago.
It really does. When you look back to like the things that we were surprised about in September, it feels like an eternity ago.
Yes. Even like week 12 or week 11, like Thanksgiving feels like it was just like another time, like a completely other time. So like August, forget about that. That was literally last year, but it feels like it was like 365 days ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention all of the piss poor football that we watched this year. It feels like it's funny because I looked at our playoff predictions that were in there. There's no real fucking surprise. Like there's really no, because Josh, how you feeling? Right? How you feeling about them birds?
Oh,
not
terrible.
Good.
Oh, Josh said it. Josh said it on Monday that they are a one round knockout.
Oh,
yeah.
Easy.
And I follow a ton of Philadelphia Eagles like Instagram accounts, and obviously they're doing whatever they can to like talk up the birds and everything. Wrong. And they went all the way back to, I think it was the Ravens' last Super Bowl year of 2020 or 2012, excuse me, when they pulled up and they showed how the Ravens lost 4 of their last 5 before getting into and winning the Super Bowl. And I'm like, this is not that Ravens team, and we don't have January Joe. Sorry.
That's
you had deep. January Jaylen when you think about it.
No, that could work. True. Yeah.
You also don't have Ray Lewis, Terrell.
I was just going to say, you may want to take a look at that defense.
The day the Eagles believe in linebackers, I will believe that we can win the Super Bowl after losing 4 or 5 in the regular season.
Who else was there? Haloti Ngata. Was Ed Reed still playing? I think Ed Reed was there.
Might have been. Yeah, I think so.
He was still playing.
Yeah. Avonte Maddox and fucking Brandon Graham out there. Look out.
Not happening.
No. All right, quick news and notes here, just so for any of you playing or playing in DFS, here's what you got. CMC calf strain, he's out week 18. He's going to rest 2 straight weeks, get ready for the divisional round. He'll be ready in 3 weeks. No worries there. Starting quarterbacks that will not start in week 18. All of them. I'm not even going to go through a list. All of them. Literally none of them are playing at all unless they're playing for something. I know Josh Allen is playing. There was some injury worry with him. Josh Allen is in. So, yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa said he's happy to be playing week 18 for the first time in his career or whatever.
I mean, he's not wrong, but
so here's the thing. I need Miami to win if my first round bounce take is going to be right.
Yeah.
So, because if they lose, they're out, right? It's winning in.
Yeah, the Bills
losing out.
Yeah, they're either the 2 seed by winning
or nothing,
or they're completely out of the playoffs if they lose. That is a wild scenario.
That's insane. Also, Bills first round bounce if they're in, so it doesn't even matter. Nick Mullins reinserted as the Minnesota starter. Who would have thought Jaron Hall would be bad? Who would have thought?
I feel bad for the kid. I mean,
yeah,
he just got put into such a bad spot.
Terrible.
Like I get Kevin O'Connell like wanting to make the change and all that, but you can't just. I mean, Nick Mullins is like he's a gunslinger type quarterback, so this is what you get. Like you have to accept like the highs, like when they happen, and then also the lows, like when he throws just like a ridiculous interception, which is going to happen. Like,
but when you have a receiver like Jefferson, Mullins' game plays well with that, and we saw that in the game they played together. It was such a bad decision.
So like him, Addison, Johnny Munt for whatever reason. I mean, like all of those guys I think are in play for Week 18.
We love Johnny Munt. Sean McVay says Kyren Williams, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, they're all sitting. Anybody of note on a playoff team is probably sitting. So there's that's all you need to know from that standpoint. Gabe throwing it out there. Huge shout out to Josh for guiding him back-to-back ships. I mean, there's other people on the show, Gabe, but sure.
Yeah, but he messages me individually. Thank you very much.
Damn, Gabe, I'm surprised you're getting good advice.
He wants no part of me and Joe.
Not at all. Let's go Browns. Hell yeah. I'm aboard the Browns train. I'm all aboard burning the fucking earth down with Browns right now. I love it. I want Browns Rams. It's not going to happen. But I want Browns.
I don't think that was going to happen.
No. The Browns, I think, realistically.
Stafford versus Flacco.
Could you imagine? What a 2011 matchup.
Oh my God.
What a matchup. Are you kidding me? That'd be insane. No, I mean, and he brings up David Njoku. We'll get to him a little later. But just some quick recaps, upside, downsides.
Not a great.
I won the upsides.
Yeah.
Let's go. To be fair, everybody, we all sucked, but
we go bold. We go bold.
These are like bold picks. Yeah.
Yeah. Like out of this.
Maybe we stop trying to predict who the RB1 is going to be every week, and we could do a little bit better.
Chris, Ryan predicts a 2-touchdown week from a guy every single week.
Every single week.
Why not? I mean, just
because
throw that.
He's hit 2 of them in 3 years.
So, throw that into like a like a parlay or something like that, and then you make up a whole bunch of money. I mean, that's what you should lose.
I won't say a whole bunch.
All right.
The typical 2-touchdown week pays 6 or 7 to 1. So I do only need to hit twice, Joe, to break even. And if I hit 3 times, yeah, buddy.
I hate you. Hey, you want to know who you called for 2 touchdowns last week and their backup scored?
Bijan Robinson.
Classic.
Yeah.
Absolute
I
classic.
am a flat out jinx on the 2 touchdowns.
Ryan killed the downsides this year, though. Those still pretty bold, so that's impressive to be 500 with, again, just how incredibly fucking crazy we get.
I can't say for sure, but I think I am 6-0 in the last 2 and maybe 8-1 in the last 3. So.
No, you've been killing it. Yeah, it makes we really need to just start like being normal people about it, because I go back and listen to the show and like after the week and listen to the questions that were asked, and I'm like, oh, we were right on the questions that were asked.
We
most of the time. Yeah,
we get way too bold. We look like idiots.
Yeah, Sam Howell, quarterback 1. Quarterback 31.
Idiots. Let's be real here. We're entertaining idiots, and that's exactly
we're
nothing wrong.
Entertaining smart guys. All right, listen. All right, I love this one. Biggest fantasy bust for 2023. It feels like there were a lot of them, but Chris, who did you have as your guy that you want to kick out the door and punch yourself for either taking him or believing in him?
I got a couple, and I think it's the wide receiver 2s on teams that we thought were going to be like these super pass heavy like type of teams. But just, and I'll caveat this is because of injuries. Like that's nothing we could have foreseen. But guys like T. Higgins, Jaylen Waddle, like even Devonta Smith, like to a certain degree, but he's come on like over the past like 3-4 weeks. And I know like Josh, you can probably attest to that. But I think it's like those guys in particular that you wound up paying this high, like mid to late second. I think Waddle was going like somewhere in like the 3rd-ish round or something like that. But just seeing that they have this alpha wide receiver in front of them, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill. I mean, those types of guys in front of them that, I mean, we just all thought that, all right, well, they're still playing on a good offense. T's got Joe Burrow. Jalen's got Tua. This is going to be a dynamic offense, going to be explosive offense. And we just want a piece of that. Like, that's all we wanted. Like, if we're not going to get Tyreek Hill at cost, we're not going to get Jamar Chase at cost, but just give us a piece of that offense. And that just never materialized. And again, like I said, like I'm caveating all this by saying, of course, T got hurt, hasn't had Joe Burrow for multiple games. I think like they only probably played in 2-3 games together, healthy. And the same thing for Jaylen to a certain extent. But still, it's those types of guys that I really do want to think through for 2024 and say that we're going to push a lot of these guys up, almost like we were just talking about with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Like, think about the drafts like for next season.
Yeah.
Like, we're probably going to be paying still the first round cost for Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison's going to be what, late second, if that. Like, maybe like you might be able to, he might slide into the third. I don't know how the wide receiver rank is going to shake out, but we're going to be paying that high cost for Jordan Addison just based off of his production in his rookie season. But should we? I mean, we don't even know who the quarterback is going to be. It could be Kirk, maybe, or some other person that's not on the roster right now. Who's to say? But a lot of people are going to look at those types of guys and say, like, they were awesome as rookies. I don't care. Like Justin Jefferson, he's got Justin Jefferson with him. Justin Jefferson's going to take most of double coverage anyway. So I'll just get Jordan Addison, just be, and just get all, like, reap all the benefits of him and get what's left and see how that has worked out. So I think those two guys, like off the top of my head, were probably like the biggest guys that I was just like, man, I wish I had thought through that situation a bit more before spending such a high draft cost on both of them.
Yeah, the hyper targeting of Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and AJ Brown really took away that value that we thought was going to be there.
Yeah.
Ryan, all I'm hearing from Chris's analysis is that Jordan Addison is jumping Keenan Allen in ADP, and we're our wide receiver one.
If I'm getting Keenan Allen in the third or fourth,
I'll still take Keenan Allen. Yes, I will still draft Keenan Allen.
No, I that's a really, really interesting point. And then something we've been hammering this entire season is when you look at the splits between the wide receiver 20 and the wide receiver 40, there's not that big a gap. And so if you're going to pay up for Jordan Addison, who realistically your hope and a prayer is that he's going to crack the 20, or I can wait 3-5 rounds later and take Nico Collins, I'm going to do that.
Right. So. Exactly. So it's going to be a tough call. I probably still will click Jordan Addison. I'm just like, I was enamored with him throughout the off season. I loved his college profile, loved the way that he's played so far throughout 2023, but I'm just trying to think through just like, who could I take at the same cost as Jordan Addison that's not going to be in a similar situation where it's going to be one of those, that we're going to have those weeks where it's going to be Justin Jefferson 10 for 180 and 2 touchdowns, and Jordan Addison's going to be sitting there for like 4 for 30. And we'll be like, oh yeah, well that was awesome. All that thought process of getting a guy that's, playing alongside an alpha wide receiver. I mean, those weeks where it's just going to be Justin Jefferson being that alpha wide receiver and Jordan Addison not getting a lot, that's going to be much tougher to swallow. Like next season, considering what it was like, first round for Justin Jefferson and 7th, 8th round for Jordan Addison. I mean, that's palatable this year, but next year, man, people are going to be paying that cost, but it's going to be the same type of situation.
So I'll say something to just throw out there, because I agree. Just the two guys you mentioned, Devonta and Waddle, they were both in run-heavy offenses where Miami is that's their option one, or option two essentially behind Tyreek. Mm-hmm. Was there a run game in Minnesota? Did they employ a running back all season? So I think now, again, we're sitting here January 3rd. They have 9 months to go get a running back. Like they could very well go get somebody. So that could very well change. But if they go into next year with, I don't think they will, but if they go into next year with Alexander Mattison, doesn't it feel like Addison's still option 2 and they're going to have to throw because they don't have a run game? I'm not saying, again, that could very well, that is probably going to change. But just something to think about, whereas Raheem Mostert was fucking lighting the world on fire, and you have quarterback draw master Jalen Hurts coming from Alabama, quarterback draw, 4th and forever for the game. So smart. But yeah, it's just something to think about, because Addison was the 2 and then obviously vaulted to the 1 when Jefferson got injured. But I mean, we went into it thinking Waddle and Devonta would be the 2 in the offense. Mm-hmm. The 2 was Jalen Hurts. And the 2 was Mostert, really. And then even when Achane was in there, Achane was the 2. And combination, like you said, Waddle was injured here and there. But just something interesting that Minnesota never had that run game dimension.
No, never.
Ever.
And if that changes?
Well, and really, it was the same thing with Miami the previous year, right? They didn't really have a consistent running game, which is why you had, you could support Waddle and Tyreek Hill last year. You didn't have that this year because Mostert has been so effective. And and Joe, to your point, when there's not a quality running game, you're going to throw the football 600 plus times, and that helps support to sometimes even 3 weapons in the passing game.
Well, plus defenses didn't have to worry about Mike Gesicki this year.
Right.
They had to worry about him in New England.
Yeah. But I guess now thinking about it, if there's not going to be a threat the threat of TJ Hawkinson on the field for quite some time, assuming he doesn't even make it back at all in 2024. I mean, Madison might be the 2, whereas it was Justin Jefferson, then TJ Hawkinson, and then Jordan Addison. Yeah. So now there might be a chance for some of that volume to then go towards Jordan Addison. But to your point, Joe, if they wind up getting some sort of running game going in 2024.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is Madison's most effectiveness in 2023 was in the passing game. He scored all 3 of his touchdowns in the passing game. So
they didn't have a rushing touchdown until almost week 10, I think, or something like that. It was ridiculous.
This would be a really interesting study. I feel like this is just me thinking of it. Is the thing that kills a wide receiver 2 not the hyper targeting of the wide receiver 1, but a good running back?
Is
it the running back?
Super interesting.
Because you look at it, the wide receiver 1's going to get the targets regardless. He's going to get the targets. But does a good run game kill the wide receiver 2 because they would rather go to the run game and split it up evenly instead of throw 65, 70% of the time? They would maybe split it 55-45. So the opportunities for the wide receiver 2 are just diminished because of fewer pass attempts.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know that answer. It just seems interesting as Chris was talking, came into my head. I love it though. I absolutely love it. I'm on the Fantasy Pros ADP because I'm going to get to mine later. Ryan, listen, I love this guy, but I stayed away from him hard this year. Fuck Austin Ekeler. He had a tough year this year. Now, granted, so did the Chargers in general, but disappointing is an understatement, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. To go back and look at the ADP, which I did today, I was surprised to see that he was the RB2 and being taken 4th overall on average. But I do remember there were Twitter cases being made to take Ekeler over Christian McCaffrey, and those just seem ludicrous at this point. He scored 8.6 fewer points per game this year than he did last year. And when you look at his totals right now, and I don't know what he's doing in week 18, but when you look at his totals right now, he is basically going to score half as many points this season as he did in each of the last 2 seasons. And that's just a bust, plain and simple. When you look at, and obviously it was a weird year for running backs at the top because we were high on Bijan and obviously Arthur Smith, but that's going to come up later. Nick Chubb gets hurt early on in the year. Derrick Henry's not quite Derrick Henry. So it was weird for all these guys who weren't Christian McCaffrey. But like I said, the biggest thing for me is the arguments that were being made. And Joe, we're both going to talk about McCaffrey later on, but the arguments that were being made that McCaffrey shouldn't have been the RB1 because of what Ekeler had done for 2 years, really, really off base. And for me, I like Austin Ekeler. Where he was going in drafts, there was no way I was passing up one of the 2 receivers, Bijan Robinson or Christian McCaffrey at that 4. And for me, Travis Kelce as well, which that's a whole nother story. Yeah. But
we'll get to him. Don't worry.
Yeah, he was never a consideration for me. But what really bothered me with Ekeler, and we talked about this a lot during the season, was for large portions of the season, they weren't even using him in the passing game. And it's you got to at least do what he's good at to make me feel a little bit better. And so it was just a really sad year to have him on fantasy roster.
Yeah, and that was where you could get him in his previous 2 seasons at the end of the first round. I think I got him in the 2nd round.
Yeah, he had even 2022 coming up because he had our 2021 rather coming off of a really down 2020 year. I think we were talking Ekeler in the 3rd even. So.
I don't know where I got him. All I know is I had Ekeler and Jonathan Taylor that year, and I tore it up.
That was the RB1 year for Taylor.
Yeah, that's all. I had him RB1 and RB2. But yeah, I think I got Ekeler in the second. I got Taylor in the third or something like that. It was flipped some weird way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was like you drafted him late first round, early second round, mid second round 2 years ago. You were like, look at this guy. Look at him. I'm so smart. 4 felt like a stretch. And you obviously, we talk about efficiency with guys. I mean, it was clearly shown no matter who was in that backfield. That Chargers offensive line could vie for one of the worst run blocking offensive lines in recent history. Not just this year, recent history. It is bad. I don't know what the stats are, but the eye test is horrific from that offensive line. So his efficiency on the ground was below 4 yards per carry a lot. It was sometimes in the 2s.
That's been a consistent thing with Ekeler, though.
Exactly, but the thing that made up for it is he had 110 targets in the passing game.
Well,
so like
touchdowns too. So
in the touchdowns, exactly. And like Ryan said, use him what he's good. Use him what he's good at.
Yeah.
Why
He
didn't
had
you
one
use
game
him?
with more than 50 receiving yards this season.
Like what?
One game with over 100 rushing yards.
Yeah.
When that was in week 1.
That's crazy.
So all the rest of the games.
All the rest of the games, it was just bad.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It's tough.
Josh, sticking in the backfield, and how did I could have guessed Tony Pollard.
yeah, I feel like I've been shitting on this guy for like a month straight, and really like 4 months straight. But Tony Pollard for me, I mean, he was the 6th overall RB taken, 13th overall player. So in most drafts, he was a fringe first round pick, if not a late first round pick in a lot of drafts, and people were hyping him up. Where did he finish this year? He was tied for 14th overall among running backs. And that tie was with a guy who wasn't even a starting running back at the beginning of the season, and that's Jerome Ford. That goes to show you how bad Tony Pollard has been this season. We talked about it during last week's show. Over the last 2 weeks, being weeks 15 and 16, he's averaged 6.5 fantasy points per game. How many did he score in week 17 in championship week? 5.9. He has been bad this year. And he's had more targets this year than any other season in his career, which is what we want to see from Tony Pollard. But he scored all of 5 touchdowns, and all of them came on the ground. This is why we talk about backup running backs being more efficient all the time, because they're not handling the football more. When you give them more touches, which is what Tony Pollard had this year, all of his efficiency metrics plummet. 5.2 yards per carry last year, 4.0 yards per carry this year. 9.5 yards per reception last year, 5.6 yards per reception this year. Tony Pollard will not be a starting running back next year. Maybe you can actually get good value on him in 2024.
So do any of us here think Jerome Ford is an effective running back on the ground? Like in terms of yards per carry? Like,
not really.
I wouldn't call him. I'd say effective, I think, is a fair term to use. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'd say effective is fine. Yeah.
If I told you him and Tony Pollard had the same yards per carry, would you believe me?
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. His fantasy
point.
Production has come on touchdowns because he scored 9 total touchdowns this year.
But Jerome Ford, I believe, was like 15 carries for 20 yards last week at one point.
Mm-hmm.
He has the same yards per carry as Tony Pollard. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's gross. That's absolutely gross.
And Tony Pollard's in a much better offense. His 2023.
Tony Pollard was in a much better offense.
I would say, like, I don't know about that.
Ago.
Like, yeah.
I mean, he was running behind a, all pro, arguably one of the best guards to ever live, and still couldn't gain 4 yards per carry. Mm-hmm. Not saying Cleveland's offensive line is a slouch. They're pretty good.
Oh, they're a good offensive line too. Yeah.
But
solid.
None of them are Zach Martin.
This is true.
None of them. Terrible, terrible year for Tony Pollard. Hey, you want to know what? Dallas, first round bounce. Going to be so exciting. It's so exciting. I can't wait to see.
They'll win week 1 because it's going to be at home for them. They'll win week 1, but they won't.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah,
that's true. Yep, that's true.
I would say though, like on the Tony Pollard note, I will give him some grace just over the basic fact that he did essentially like shatter his leg, not like a year ago.
And so, Chris, I think that's a great point that more people needed to remember at the draft process, because I got talked out of it. Like, I literally was like, shouldn't he be way more of an injury risk than we think? And obviously not so much an injury risk, but like we should expect less Tony Pollard. But people are like, they just hyped me up so much to where I ended up running.
Well, because the workload was going to be there, and I get it. Like the workload was going to be there. Everything that we wanted out of Tony Pollard from a situation and volume standpoint was going to be there for him. But it's just coming back from a pretty gnarly injury, like, not too long ago. I think giving him at least, a year to get back under him, and get back up to speed, that explosiveness, it's just not there anymore. And I think we can all kind of point to the reason why. Yeah, so I think if the efficiency portion at least is somewhat there, like from a YPC standpoint, like sure, like a lot of his numbers are down. I think his adjusted yards after contact per attempt are fairly solid, like above average. Rushing success rate, it's okay. It's not the best, but I would say that a lot of the efficiency metrics I would hope would come back if he gets another year to rehab, work throughout the offseason, maybe get some of the explosiveness back. And then wherever he winds up next year, because I'm assuming Dallas is not going to pay for him to stay, but wherever he lands in 2024, if he has another year off from the injury, maybe we see some of that explosiveness back like next season. So I might be in on him. Just depends on where he winds up at.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, everybody has a price, right? Like, if it comes down, and he's that ADP is, maybe more in like the 13, 14, 15 RB range, then yeah, I might be a lot more willing to make that move and go get Tony Pollard, but I'm not going to pay top 8 running back prices, top 10 running back prices.
Because like, what if he say he leaves Dallas, but then he becomes like a 1-year rental, like for the Texans? Because I wonder how long Devin Singletary, his contract.
He would sign a 1-year deal also.
Yeah. It was 2 years. Regardless.
But like, say like he winds up with the Texans. I'm interested. Like I'm interested in that point. Like he enters into a rotation with another running back who we all think is like middling or whatever, but then he gets put into a situation where it's like, it's a good offense. We can see some of the target volume going his way, because I would say at the very least, while Devin Singletary has been a good rusher, Tony Pollard, I think, is the more effective receiver. 100%. So if we can at least see maybe some of that workload going his way, I think it just depends on where he lands, but there are some good paths for him to at least be a serviceable RB2, I would say at the very least, like for 24.
The receiving aspect makes him an interesting play for Minnesota as well, with what we were just talking about. But unfortunately, I think if he ends up there, we're going to see that ADP skyrocket.
Yeah. So. How much longer is Austin Ekeler like signed for with the Chargers? I wonder, because like maybe you could follow Kellen Moore.
This is his last year, actually.
This was last year.
Yeah, they redid his deal just to fix last year's money, right? When he was all angry in the offseason.
So. So maybe he could follow Kellen Moore like out to LA.
There you go.
Oh, thank
but with a head coach change, there's no guarantee Kellen Moore stays.
That's true. Yeah.
Eckler's a free agent after this year.
Yeah. So then, so there are some outs for him in 24.
Be interesting. All right. Mine. I love mine. I love these segments because I just get to shit on people. Biggest fantasy bust, Arthur Smith. Does anybody disagree?
No disagreements.
No disagreements?
This guy's the worst.
What are we doing? We saw Drake London be insanely good. We saw Bijan Robinson absolutely dick down a linebacker in his first NFL game. And you want to know what Arthur Smith said? Tyler Algier deserves red zone carries. Bijan's a great lead blocker.
Isn't this the man that instantly traded for Van Jefferson? Like once he became available, like from the Rams,
got to get that guy.
Got to get that guy involved, like immediately. Let's get Jonnu Smith some touches, like here and there.
Let's get Jonnu Smith more touches than our 8th overall pick.
Nah,
Jonnu Smith had 4 fewer receptions than Kyle Pitts.
Joke.
We were joking before the season that Jonnu Smith was being drafted like 500th overall.
Yeah.
Better than Kyle Pitts, apparently.
Apparently. But speaking of the tight ends, Ryan, you are going to hate me for this one.
No, but certainly not.
Is it weird to say Travis Kelce was a bust? See, I thought that too, but let me lay out some facts for you. All right. Let me lay out some facts.
All right.
Because he was being drafted 6th overall before the season.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a mid-first round pick.
Say sounds about Ryan.
Yeah, sounds about Ryan. He was 100 points better than the next best tight end last year, which was TJ Hawkinson. 316 points he had last year. That would have made him the quarterback 6, the RB4, and the wide receiver 5 in fantasy football in 2022. In 2023, he's the tight end 2 by 0.4 points. So just barely the tight end 2. And is one of 6 guys over 200 points. So he's not breaking apart from the pack at all like he has been in previous years. The one year withstanding is the year Mark Andrews beat him, I believe in 2021. Is the only year withstanding where Mark Andrews had a better year than him. Guys with more touchdowns, because this was the biggest story of Travis Kelce's season, was the touchdowns. Mark Andrews, he didn't play half the fucking season. Cole Kmet, literally allergic to the end zone his first 2 seasons of his career. Literally allergic to it. Taysom Hill, yup. And Hunter fucking Henry, who plays on the New England Patriots, who don't know what football is.
And Henry did it in 3 total games, right?
I think
What
are
we doing? So this is a large story. I think more than Kelce, it's the fucking Chiefs as a whole.
Yeah.
Their offense has been putrid. But I joked about it every single time. I joked about it before the season. There's nobody to cover in Kansas City. Why not just triple cover Travis Kelce? I think teams fucking finally did that in the after week 5 or 6.
Yeah, they let Rashee Rice beat them. And Josh, your mic's muted. Josh, no one can hear you yelling at us.
I said, so that's why our ratings went up this season, Joe. They're finally listening to you.
They're finally listening to me. No, you're right. It's the Patriots mentality. Let their second best guy or their worst guy beat you. Don't let the best guy beat you. Yeah. Shut down Kelce. Like Rashee Rice, he's pretty fucking good. He's good. All right. You got to respect him. But you'll let Rashee Rice cook you for 150 yards and a touchdown if that means Travis Kelce has 3 catches for 30 yards. You'll happily do that because who's the third guy that's going to beat you? Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
No.
Richie James?
No.
Noah Gray?
Like Blake Bell on the tight end 3? Like
Kadarius Toney.
KT, baby. Line up on sides and maybe he'll beat you. But literally, that's
he
what
beat
it
the
is.
Chiefs.
He beat the Chiefs. He beat somebody. Weirdly enough, his own team, but he beat somebody. Travis Kelce was, I'm sorry, by all accounts of how you rank these, Travis Kelce was a bust for you in fantasy football. You drafted him in the first round, and the man did not do what you expected him to do.
That is true. I would say that part is true.
By far.
Yeah, by far. There was no separation. I would say, though, I guess from an opportunity standpoint, I think he did wind up still separating, at least from most of the rest of the tight ends.
Early on in the year, you were happy.
Yeah, early on in the year.
You were.
Yeah, I think early on in the year
when it counted, were you happy? No, Ryan Adam in every league.
No.
Yeah, trust me.
That is true. That is true.
I'm sorry.
Chris, I look at it this way.
He was drafted
with Travis Kelce. With Travis Kelce, you were drafting him in the first round because of the positional advantage, right?
Yes.
Because he scored over 100 fantasy points more than the tight end 2 last year.
He's done that twice in the previous 2 of the previous 3 seasons.
He was tied for the tight end 1 position this year in fantasy points per game with TJ Hockenson at 14.4 or 14.6, excuse me. That eliminated the positional advantage. Therefore, he wasn't worth the draft position. That essentially causes the bust narrative, in my opinion.
Because where are you getting Hockenson? The 4th or 5th round?
Ish. Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, some people were taking him in the 3rd.
So you're telling me you could have gotten the same production of a guy in the 4th or 5th round that you drafted 5th overall?
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah, that's it. I love shitting on Travis Kelce any chance I can get. I think people that say he's the best tight end of all time needs to just kick rocks and actually watch him block for a living. Because that is half of his fucking job. If you're only good at half of your job, folks, remember that, that coworker you work with?
Your job is what the team asks you to do. That is not Travis Kelce.
Okay, so the job is catching touchdowns. How do you do this year?
Well, not so great, but still the best tight end, well, at least in my time, is Rob Gronkowski. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So
by far.
Yeah.
I like Gronk, but Tony Gonzalez was so fun to watch as a receiver. But
that's fair too.
I think it's 2 separate eras.
It is.
Yeah.
Tony Gonzalez was insane.
He was something.
Yeah.
He was the first fantasy tight end where you were like, okay, maybe I need to start latching on to the really good guy at this position. And then Antonio Gates came along, and
well, it was Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, and if you didn't get them, you weren't drafting a tight end. That was what the late 2000s was.
So I guess since we're talking about it now, about how minimal having taking a tight end like Travis Kelce was in the first round, we can't be doing this next season.
I agree.
There is
That's one of my points for later, Chris.
There is no tight end that we should be drafting probably in the first 2 rounds.
I agree.
You could maybe make the case for guys like a guy like Laporta, maybe in the 2-3 turn. But I think drafts for 2024 are just going to look so markedly different than over the past 2 to 3 years, where it was Kelce, Andrews. Remember, it was Kelce, Andrews, and Kelce, Kittle, and Ertz. Remember that? It was those 2 guys in the first 4 rounds. Mm-hmm. Now, you probably won't see a tight end for the first 2 to 3 rounds. It's entirely possible for 24. After this season, that positional advantage is kind of gone away.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely.
All right, great. Oh, and last one, holy hell, Christian Watson. Forgot about that.
Yeah. On the touchdowns?
You mean the guy that was injury prone in college?
I was going to say, do you mean on the bust, or do you mean more touchdowns than Kelce?
All of the above.
I don't think he scored more touchdowns.
No, I meant he was a bust. Yeah. And Chris said the guy who was injury prone is injured. Oh, shocking.
Yeah.
Real quick from Craig. Thanks, Josh. And all, I'm 11-6, and last week is this week. Leave your league. To bench Brandon Aiyuk and Zay Flowers, I brought in Pittman. Yeah.
What are the matchups this week? Let's see.
Well, it doesn't matter because
I mean, I don't. You can't trust Brandon Aiyuk with Sam. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can trust Brandon.
Aiyuk's not going to play, is he?
Aiyuk's not going to.
No, they've Shanahan came out and said that really the only person he's sitting is Purdy, which they've already ruled out Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Right.
But Pittman's going against the Texans, which that's kind of like a do or die game. And
they both
no
have
Lamar for Zay Flowers. I'm fine starting Pittman amongst those 3.
Pittman, the Colts have
fine starting Pittman ahead of those guys most weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
I love Aiyuk, but I love Pittman too.
Yeah, Pittman's solid.
Roll Pittman. How about next year? The tight end from Baltimore did well at the end. I mean, Isaiah Likely is good.
That's another one where it's we can't be drafting Mark Andrews where he was at.
Exactly.
Yeah. R.I.P. to Kelly Singh's heart, but we can't be drafting Mark Andrews that high anymore.
Tough. Yeah.
Kelly, you don't have to RIP. Every draft that he falls to her in the 3rd is going to be the best.
She'll gladly take
life.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And we must have crushed the ROI to afford to get. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't handle the finances.
This has been a running joke on Twitter with the whole.
I know it's so sad. I don't get that.
But Kevin, if you've noticed my tag there, maximum ROI. This is how we get Chris Allen on the show.
Right.
I'm just
full transparency. I came on here for free because I love these guys. So,
wow. Oh my God.
Me too. Every week.
Yeah. I need to renegotiate my contract. That's what I need to do.
Trust me, we all do.
I need to renegotiate that. Okay, quickly, I'm just going to fly through some of these that we can just essentially gloss over. We'll just go through the who you wish you rostered more and aren't likely to roster in 2024. We'll just kind of gloss over those. Chris, who is the guy you wish you had rostered more this season?
Probably either Mostert or Kyren. Those.
Ooh, yeah.
I could not. I did not buy into the hype, to be quite honest. I got suckered into the for the Dolphins. It was they actually used draft capital to acquire Jeff Wilson. So it was okay. And he was also involved in the passing game slightly more last season than Mostert. So while the explosiveness was there for both of them, it was, if Jeff Wilson could be used in the passing game a bit more, he could be that third-ish option. Even if depending on how Achane wound up working out, I was more on Jeff Wilson than Mostert. That was a big fail on my part. And then for Kyren Williams, I definitely didn't read enough of the offseason hype regarding Kyren Williams. And that's also like bad on me for not like taking a look at what some of the beat reporters around LA, like Jordan Rodriguez, I know, like who's like she is so in tune like with the Rams. I know she had like mentioned him a number of times throughout the offseason, how much Sean McVay was raving about this kid. And I mean, just honestly thinking about it, like how much like Cam Akers is, dude's kind of a dick. Just think about it. Cause like they were going to cut him last season. Right. And like anytime he's gotten less carries, like he's like he's had a couple of outbursts on Twitter at some point. And so I think the path for Kyren to be like where he was at, or at least even just to get carries, I thought like this is like hindsight being 2020, but like the path for him to get carries in an offense, like it would seem like pretty easy for him to get to that point. Akers like still coming off of the Achilles tear. His situation with the team, not as stable, so it's just like, I kind of get it, like how we got to this point. So seeing how well he's played right now isn't much of a surprise. So I think those two for me were just guys that, you can go and check, like I wrote the waiver wire column for Fantasy Life. And when it came down to like Kyren, I was just kind of like, yeah, put in maybe 15 to 20%, but don't go all in. It seems like a good situation, but maybe they'll find another guy. I was that guy where like I didn't buy into the hype.
And, that meme with like the 3 dragons with the straight face, and then the one that's like that was me when it comes to Kyren Williams.
Yeah, that was me. And like my good friend Mondays. Like my good friend John Daigle, like I remember talking to him like shortly after like all this stuff happened, and like he writes the waiver column for BetSperts 444 where I used to be at, and he was like all in because he had done the research like throughout the offseason. I was like, damn it. Should have gone with that.
That was me and Josh on Mondays because I was like, you give everything you can land to get Kyren Williams now. And Josh was like, do not do that.
Yeah.
Want to use right, want to use wrong.
Sometimes you get them wrong,
That's how life goes.
Right. That was me.
Well, Josh, you agreed because you wish you would have rostered Kyren Williams more. And Ryan, sticking with the Los Angeles Rams, Puka Nacua. Obviously.
Yeah.
Because we all saw that one coming.
Well, I was a relatively loud voice for Puka Nacua in the preseason, but not loud enough in my own ear, apparently. Like, I couldn't get past, like, putting him at, like, wide receiver 50. So, oops.
It was the wide receiver 5. So, nailed it.
Stop that 0 off.
Yeah. Yep. And mine is one Chris already said, Raheem Mostert. Injury prone, was just waiting for it.
This show, it's always been Jeff Wilson season.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, also
that just warped everything for us.
No. Also, Raheem Mostert gets hurt by the wind, so I wasn't ready to play him. And then because I'm also IDP guy here with Ryan, but IDP guy, Danielle Hunter, welcome back.
Yeah,
DL1 in Fantasy Pros scoring. So yeah, welcome back, Danielle Hunter.
Hats off to Brian Flores.
Yeah, shout out Brian Flores. For those that don't know, Danielle Hunter, I believe 2017 through 2019 was the DL1 every year. Yeah. Unstoppable. He was insane. Danielle Hunter. Injuries the last few seasons.
Crazy to me that 2019 was almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's literally.
That's a lifetime ago.
Yes, no, literally.
I'm saying.
Like pre-COVID, that's a lifetime ago.
No, literally, and like that, this dude pre-COVID, this dude was insane. So yeah, welcome back, Hunter, after a bunch of injuries and being able to still come back later in life. Players aren't likely to roster in 2024. Who you got, Chris?
I'm not even going to go with the category. I think just one guy. I'm not going to roster Antonio Gibson in 2023. I don't care where he lands. I'm done with it. I don't think it's him personally. I do think there is something to that archetype of running back, like, oh, I'm a converted receiver. Now I'm a running back. And we as fantasy people, we're like, oh, hell yeah. The guy has the skill set
to do it all.
Yeah, he can run between the tackles. Oh, he's got the right size. He could be like a kind of a, RB1-ish type of guy. But now that he's a receiver too, he could run routes. He could be like a part of the passing game for whatever offense that he goes to, and see, oh, well, that's really worked out for us. And maybe it is Gibson. Like maybe it is his specific situation and the coaching staff that he got stuck with because, Ron Rivera is not the most forward thinking of people. So I can understand how a guy like him would get stuck in that type of situation. So maybe there are greener pastures for him wherever he winds up. Hopefully he's not with the Commanders next season. I'm assuming he's not going to be, but there has to be I think it's guys like him that fit his archetype where it always sounds great in theory, but like Gibson is just one of those where it's just like it's never panned out for him. And he's just a guy that I'm really going to need to see it. And if I miss on him in 2024, I mean, hats off to him for succeeding, but I just don't see it.
Chris essentially just said, I don't hate you. I just hate who you are and what you choose to be.
Yes.
Essentially.
Just what you do on the field. Just who you are on the field. You might be a nice guy.
You're just bad at your job.
Just not on my fantasy roster.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
not everybody's great at their job.
You could be nice on a toilet bowl roster, but not on mine.
Not on my roster. Not
That's very fair. Ryan, we already talked about it. Unless he falls to the third round, Mr. Swift, Travis Kelce.
Which actually will probably happen next season.
Honestly, it probably will.
And I'll draft him in every fucking league.
I know you will. And Ryan, I can't wait for you to be disappointed. I cannot wait.
I have a feeling next year during some mock draft show, Ryan is going to take Travis Kelce in the third round. I'm just going to have like a little pill bottle and I'm just going to start rattling it because Travis Kelce is that drug that Ryan just cannot quit.
Just can't get off of.
Well,
just can't get off.
Keenan Allen for this side of the screen. Right? Keenan Allen.
Well, here's the problem, Joe. With the way things are going, we might lose both of them next year, and I don't know how I'm going to cope.
All right.
Yeah. All right, Pete. Josh, you have Josh Allen, but also Mark Andrews. We talked about the Mark Andrews situation.
Yeah, the Mark Andrews thing for me, it's the tight end position, right? Like right now, there's just so many good ones. We had 12 tight ends this year finish above 10 fantasy points per game. There was 4.5 fantasy points per game separating the tight end 1 and the tight end 12. With so many of these young options coming in, there's no advantage anymore. But here's the one thing that I will be very curious to see, because there weren't a ton of wide receivers that really separated everything. We've talked about this. Between like 20, wide receiver 20 and wide receiver 50, it's like 3 fantasy points per game. They're all jumbled together. This incoming wide receiver class is very deep. If some of these teams end up getting some of these electric young wide receivers, that may push some of these young tight ends that have popped further down opportunity because teams want to use the wide receiver position. It's almost like they were using the tight end out of necessity, a la Trey McBride in Arizona, right? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting correlation to see with some of these wide receivers coming in and taking over into these offenses. Will it push these tight ends back to, we'll call it normalcy, I guess.
Yeah. So fuck it, because I'm the host. Does Brock Bowers get drafted higher than Travis Kelce next year?
Depends on.
I don't think that'll happen.
I was waiting for that answer, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dude's fucking good.
No, he's really good.
He's insane.
I'm curious to know where Brock Bowers lands, though. But
well, if Philadelphia has anything to say about it. A Philadelphia Bulldog.
He's not going to Philadelphia.
Right, that's where he's going to go.
Georgia North.
Yeah, Georgia North, essentially. No, I just listen. That's an asinine statement, but I have a funny feeling if Bowers falls to a very pass-heavy offense that is target needy, there are going to be people that heavily overdraft Brock Bowers in redrafts. Obviously,
it'll be the same. Well, it's the same thing with Kyle Pitts in his
exactly.
Rookie year. Like, people were pushing him up because he was the unicorn and so talented.
Brock Bowers is good at football. That's the difference between him and Kyle Pitts. Brock Bowers went to football too. Brock Bowers went to a good SEC school.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts went to a good SEC school in 2005.
Yeah. But I don't know, because everybody was pretty hyped about Laporta, and he still fell fairly deep in this class.
Exactly who I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Laporta.
Listen, it's an asinine question, but Brock Bowers, I think, has more hype than Laporta.
By
Pros, 100%. Yeah.
By Fantasy Pros last numbers, Laporta was essentially undrafted. 163 was his ADP.
Yeah, that's insane. He's the tight end one.
So, Chris, let me ask you this, because I know you're a Bengals fan, and I've seen a lot of mock drafts with Brock Bowers going to either Cincinnati or the Chargers. But here's what I say. Here's what I say.
No.
If Cincinnati does not bring back T. Higgins and they land Brock Bowers,
no, I don't want
where does that change?
I don't want
potential draft. I don't want it. No, give me a vet, have them draft like a day 3 guy or something like that. If they
the
lose,
scenario in this is they
what do you mean? They have Irv Smith. What do you mean?
Oh, fuck Irv Smith.
That's a 1-year deal. He's not coming back.
No, he's not coming back. That was a disaster. That was an absolute disaster.
I don't think that's the right way for Cincinnati to use that early capital.
No, it needs to be.
I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm saying in this
scenario, I want to hear from the Bengals fans.
Shut up. Pick on Brock Bowers.
Give me Adunze. Give me Neighbors. Probably not in the first round though. Or insert one of the offensive linemen.
Insert any player not named Brock Bowers.
Yeah, not a tight end. Not a tight end. No, we had this the Bengals Nation went through this same thing when it was like, should we take like Michael Mayer or something like that this past year? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. If we wind up losing T, I want either a wide receiver or potentially they address interior pass rush or something like that, but not a tight end.
I mean, you're likely going to lose Jonah Williams too. So you'll need a right tackle.
Yeah, I was about to say, how about a tackle, defensive tackle, or a corner? That might help.
Yeah, one of those, anything else but a tight end, literally, because we have so many more needs than that. Yeah, love it. So I like watching the world born. It's great. Ryan, I agree with you, Travis Kelce, but my legitimate one, Terry McLaurin, for aforementioned reasons. 1, Sam Howell hates him, and he slept with his sister. 2, he slept with Eric Bieniemy's mom. None of this is confirmed. I'm just assuming that why you're not targeting a guy who's open on 99% of his routes is insane. Yeah. What are we doing? He's so good. But you can't take him in fantasy football. You just can't. You can't. And then IDP, Nick Bosa, go fuck yourself. Why? You signed that max fucking deal for 10.5 sacks? Really? Does anybody know who Jonathan Cooper is? No. Negative.
I thought he was a guard for the Cardinals.
Nope. Could you even guess the team he plays for?
Did he used to play for Dallas? He's a D tackle, right?
Ryan, I don't fucking know. All I know is that he plays for Denver and scored the same amount of points as Nick Bosa.
Oops. Seems bad.
What? What? Yeah. Fuck you, Nick Bosa, in that pick. Granted, I won the fucking league that I picked Nick Bosa in. But
there you go.
I had TJ Watt, Logan Wilson, Bobby Wagner, Derwin James, Budda Baker. Let's not listen. I was loaded at IDP in that position. But yeah, fuck you, Nick Bosa. You and your brother. Okay. Fantasy football MVP. This is the one that obviously is the most fun to talk about. Chris, who is your MVP from this year?
My fantasy MVP is either CMC. I mean, normally the guys are the first round. CMC carried one of my teams, and then CeeDee Lamb carried another one of my teams into the championship. I mean, just they were just monsters, especially monsters when you needed them. Except for last week for CMC because of the calf thing, but
he got you second place money at the very least.
Oh yeah. So it's I have no problems with either of those two, but they were absolute stars.
Oh yeah. Spoiler alert: Ryan and Josh have Christian McCaffrey and CeeDee Lamb. Ryan, I'll let you go on McCaffrey, but go.
I don't want to go on McCaffrey.
Brandon Aubrey, dog.
Brandon Aubrey, baby! I jumped on this train super early. Found some interesting stats: 12.8 fantasy points per game. That's in weeks insane. 1 through 4. That makes him the RB 14, the wide receiver 15, and the tight end 1. He was 1 point better than Travis Kelce in those 4 weeks. Then to finish up the regular season, 11.7 fantasy points in weeks 8 through 14, 2 points better than the kicker 2, but also RB 16, wide receiver 22, and tight end 3, 2 points better than Travis Kelce. Brandon Aubrey carried every one of my teams that still has kickers, and I love him for it.
You want to know what it said? You want to know what Brandon Aubrey wears underneath his jersey? It says, "Let a naysayer know." That's what he says.
Let a naysayer know.
You guys, please tell me have seen that clip from.
I saw the
College
clip.
Game Day.
I thought that man was about to end his career on live TV.
I thought he was too. For those that did not see it, I'm blanking on the host's name. If somebody can help me, of College Game Day.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name. But anyway, he's talking about Chris David. Thank you. He's talking about Jaylen Milroe, who wears his own merch. It says, "LANK, let a naysayer know."
Mm-hmm.
In Pat McAfee says, "I did not think you were about to say naysayer."
No.
I was like,
he hit it with the quickness too. He was like, "That's what it means." I thought that's what N stands for.
Yeah, well, listen, everybody in the audience knows exactly what Jaylen Milroe's wearing underneath his shirt. Okay,
Yeah.
We all know it ain't naysayer. All right,
Yeah,
but it was just the way that Pat McAfee said it, and it was like this motherfucker said this on ESPN College Game Day. I was like, you know what? Pat McAfee's the greatest thing to happen to sports media ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just fantastic. But that's what Brandon Aubrey wears right there. White soccer player.
Love him.
Let a naysayer know. Josh, CeeDee Lamb, the doggiest of dogs. Jerry Rice.
This is a little bit biased because I traded an absolute haul in the Club Dynasty League to get CeeDee Lamb. Jaylen Waddle, Nico Collins, 2 firsts and a second to get CeeDee Lamb.
Feels worth it.
And that 47-point bonanza in week 17 led me to a 100+ point win in our Dynasty Championship. So
I do have to say, I survived a CeeDee Lamb 57-point barrage in the championship this past week.
Well done.
Insane. Shout out Joe Flacco.
Actually, so did my younger brother. Now that I think about it, he survived it as well. So.
Insane. Absolute insanity. Continue, Josh.
No, that's really all.
That's it. Say, okay, great.
Yeah, I mean
easy.
It's 23 fantasy points per game, second to Tyreek Hill. I mean, just an absolute dog all season.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Chris said about those two players, CeeDee Lamb and Christian McCaffrey, summed it up perfectly. They were good when you needed them to be good, and that's what makes them an MVP for you. CeeDee Lamb made a lot of people money. Kyren Williams made a lot of people money. Christian McCaffrey made a lot of people money.
Yeah, I was out with my wife on Saturday night, and when I saw, all I got was the notification when he scored, like, what is the 68-yard touchdown or whatever? 92-yard touchdown. Thank you. And when he scored the 92-yard touchdown, I was like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
We're chilling.
I wasn't even watching the game. I just went right back to drinking. I was like, oh, I'm good.
My younger brother did something similar. My younger brother started putting hedging bets on FanDuel to make money back because he thought he was going to lose the championship.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
That's smart, man. That's smart.
I passed up on a bet that was 10+ receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown in the Cowboys to win for CeeDee Lamb. It was like plus 1,100. I'm like, really wish I would have taken that one. Yeah. I thought the Cowboys were going to choke it, which the refs did that for them.
I was going to say,
yeah. Not when you got the refs on your side.
No, not when you got the zebras. Okay. Mine, McCaffrey's the easy answer, but I will just take, I will say that because I shamed anybody that had him available on the draft board and did not take him. Shamed every single person I knew that took mostly Jefferson and Chase.
Dude, McCaffrey scored 130+ fantasy points more than the RB2 this year.
I got McCaffrey at 11 in Scott Fishbowl.
Wow. Well, yeah, because the super flex, but yeah.
Because McCaffrey scored more points than like every quarterback except 2.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane. But yeah, how about this? The RB2 was Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Crazy. Certainly didn't feel that way.
On him too.
3.8 yards per carry.
He had
not even over 1,000 yards.
He had a massive 5-week span in the middle of the season where
I had him on my team. He had 2 touchdowns in 4 consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
It was insane. But yeah, McCaffrey absolutely lit up. But my MVP, Keenan Allen, 3rd in wide receiver points per game. He was the wide receiver 19 before the season. Doggiest of dogs. But then defense, I would get up and run around my apartment for the victory lap I can fucking take on this guy. Trey Hendrickson finally getting the recognition this man deserves. And I was like, oh, Chris is a Bengals fan. This will be perfect. I had him at DL10 back in May when we did our IDP show. He's defensive lineman 5. I was the only one to fucking talk about him. I said, he's in a contract year. He's playing for probably his last contract ever. He's going to light it up. Man is tied with TJ Watt for the league lead in sacks.
Yep. But not being discussed for defensive player of the year.
Not at all. Like, not at all. And he is, now granted, he doesn't have the tackles and the stat sheet stuffer to show that, but he leads the NFL in tied for lead at NFL in sacks and leads the NFL in pressure. Like the amount of pressures.
Not as cool when you can vote for like Aaron Donald and TJ Watt and like the big name guys. Just let Trey continue to do his thing though.
Yeah.
And he wears no gloves like a bad
man's a beast. After he hyperextended his knee on Sunday night and then he played against the Ravens like that Thursday night. I mean, it was insane.
He goes long sleeve, no gloves like a fucking dog. I would pay any amount of money to have Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson on the same fucking team because those guys are just the doggiest of dogs right there.
Max Crosby is, I mean,
I would, whatever Max Crosby, I would hand him a blank check and say, whatever you want, we'll pay it.
Yeah.
That man is insane.
He's an animal.
Yeah.
Absolute animal. But yeah, had to give a little Trey Hendrickson victory lap there. That dude, if you took him in fantasy football, props to you. Cause he saved me in the semifinals because I sat Nick Bosa in favor of Trey Hendrickson and I won by a single point. And Hendrickson had 5 more points than Bosa. So he saved my ass in the semifinals. So shout out Trey Hendrickson. All right. To wrap it all up, conference winners and the Super Bowl winners for the 2023 season. Chris, who do you have making it? Who do you have winning?
From the AFC side, I think the Ravens are going to win it. There's just like not a doubt in my mind. Just an absolute complete team. And even the losses, like thinking back to some of their losses, I mean, just absolute, like just shit your pants drunk mistakes that these people were making in order to lose. Like that Colts game, like early in the year, ridiculous. So yeah, Ravens get it. Lamar MVP, Lamar Super Bowl MVP in my mind. NFC, I think the 49ers wind up taking it down. I think the 49ers finally get in. Like they have to, because if not, we're going to have to put Kyle Shanahan on like suicide/homicide watch if they don't make it past the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Because after the shit that this man has had to deal with for the past, almost like 4 years of not making it to the Super Bowl.
How about going back to 2017 when he blew a 28-3 lead?
Oh, yeah. So it's just like they're like,
how about
care
Chris,
if like,
I'll give you another one. 2020. The second largest Super Bowl lead in NFL history he blows as a head coach.
Yeah. And just for the like exercising the demons, you know,
there's a lot of demons.
That like just getting rid of all those demons for Kyle Shanahan, like just getting him to the the promised land of making it to the Super Bowl. I just think that has to happen for him, and I think they have the team to do it this year too.
But you clearly think Baltimore's going to win because you said Lamar Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, I think. I think they'll win. Yeah. I still think Lamar's going to win the Super Bowl, and that's me coming as a Bengals fan. I still think Baltimore's the best team.
Okay. Spoiler alert: Ryan and Josh agree with you. They just think the Niners are going to win.
Ryan thinks the Niners are going to win.
Oh, sorry, Josh. You picked Ray. I apologize.
Why in God's name would I ever think Kyle Shanahan is going to win a Super Bowl?
Well, that's why I was concerned that you both took the 49ers. I was like, guys, I thought we discussed this weekly that Kyle Shanahan poops his pants in big games. What are we talking about?
I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be the saving grace in this one. I think he's going to come out a man possessed. We're talking about exercising demons. Christian McCaffrey has some demons to exercise.
All right.
Okay.
See,
Josh.
Lamar is likely going to win the MVP in 2023, and we have not seen the best Lamar Jackson this year. Like, tell me that's not scary.
Right.
He's playing with, he's got a complete offense around him and a complete defense around him. All he has to do is just play football. And when times get tough, he can go into Lamar mode and take over a football game. And they absolutely demolished the 49ers earlier this season. I don't see why.
His 5 touchdown game against the Dolphins that felt casual.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Miami's defense is bad. Let's get that out of the way. Miami's defense is horrific.
The one thing I'll throw out,
I wouldn't say they're horrific, but they've taken a lot of hits, especially now that they've lost Bradley Chubb. They don't have their top 2 edge rushers.
That was bad.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to throw out, though, is the reason I had trouble picking them. I'm a big CMC guy, and I think it's going to be a good week for CMC. But, Joe, I like your pick just as much, and I could not pick a team that I'm not even positive is going to make it. I feel really comfortable saying San Fran is going to be in the Super Bowl. Baltimore's last loss was to the Cleveland Browns.
Listen. I said it earlier, I love watching the world burn. Can you fucking imagine? Listen. Who's the greatest quarterback ever in the month of January? Joe Flacco. Look at the stats. It's Joe Flacco. I don't want to admit it. It's Joe Flacco. He's so fucking good in January. It's insane. Do I think January Joe still has a little bit left in the tank? The man's throwing 300 yards to David Njoku. Yeah, he still has something left in the fucking tank. Elijah Moore is relevant now, folks. Amari Cooper's putting up 300 yards through the air. Joe Flacco's doing something. I don't know what it is, but he's tickling the fancy right now in Cleveland. I love it.
He's playing with house money.
Yeah, he does. He has nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
Literally nothing to lose.
There is literally not a single team or person in existence that can even compare to the 49ers in the NFC right now. No team whatsoever. Dallas is brutal on the road. Philadelphia has forgotten what football is. The Lions are going to just be Detroit. We know that's going to happen.
Again, that would be a road issue as well. So.
Yeah.
Detroit going to Detroit because Matt Stafford's going to walk in there, whip it out in Detroit, which is just going to be fantastic. Here to watch the world burn. Matt Stafford's going to beat Detroit at home. Oh, it's going to be amazing.
All right, I want to pose this question really quick because I feel like there's kind of a consensus around like the 49ers and even the Ravens to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. If there was one team from either side, the AFC, the NFC, that you think could make a surprise Super Bowl run,
it's the Browns.
Who is it? I know Joe's answer, the Browns.
It's the Browns. Yeah. That's the only right answer from the AFC. It's the Browns.
How about from the NFC?
Honestly, I'm going to say the Rams.
The Rams.
Legitimately,
me and Joe are in full agreement here. So,
I'll give you a flow with every team.
Out of the AFC, if there was another team, and I know that you guys are not going to agree with me on this one, if there was another team out of the AFC that I think could make a run, it could be the Bills. I think it could be the Bills.
I will agree with you there, Chris.
Guys, let me tell you, as a guy who watches Buffalo Bills football a lot because I'm a Patriots guy. Okay, let me tell you, you're wrong.
I think it's a concern. I'm saying I think it's the offense definitely has its flaws and like massive red flags after this Patriots game just this past week. But if there was like one quarterback out of that group that could, like, we're talking about Lamar, like putting on his Superman cape and like doing all the shit all himself.
Allen's doing something similar.
Yeah.
Josh Allen can do the exact same thing.
I'll give you that. Sure.
So that's out of the AFC. Out of the NFC, I want to at least believe that the Cowboys defense can figure some shit out and like Dak can be better, but that's a tough sell for me. I want to give it to the team that's actually proven that they can do it. Sean McVay has like solidified his ability to be like just a ridiculously good head coach. So yeah, the Rams making a run is not that far out of the question.
I think I need to end on this because this just struck me today, and I'm glad you said that. Based on after what we saw last year, does a season like this, is Sean McVay bought back in? Should we be worried about this retirement thing anymore?
No. Retiring?
His retirement, no.
He was like inches away from doing it last year.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, you're making out like I'm pulling this idea out of nowhere, you
motherfucker's making $7 million a year.
He was making that last year.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. See ya. No.
His retirement, no. But if they lose Stafford at some point, I mean, Stafford's been he's been pretty decently injured over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, they've got to figure out the backup quarterback.
Aaron Donald was about to hang him up.
Aaron Donald could also hang him up too.
Surprising. He's later in his career.
So if Stafford and Donald are both gone, is McVay going to be like, can't wait to get back here, boys?
As long as the Rams are still trading first round picks away, he'll be there.
I mean, with the way that he's coached so far, we're going to be talking about Stetson Bennett for MVP in like 2025.
Dog.
Wow.
He'll be a
Dog.
35-year-old MVP.
Literally.
So I want to chime in real quick because I want to say this because I want people to know that I'm not that big of a homer. I think that San Francisco can slip up.
They can.
I think they can slip up.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I firmly believe that Dallas could make a run because they're going to get the 2 seed and the road will then go through Dallas.
Oh,
right.
I see what
Dallas
you're
is
saying.
averaging
I don't think
over
they
30
slip up in
points
the
per game at home.
I don't think they slip up in the divisional is the thing. I think they slip up in the they will slip up not because of talent. They're going to slip up because of a Kyle Shanahan coaching mistake or getting out coached.
I agree.
So what he's saying is they're going to get their home game and they're going to slip up there is where Joe thinks it happens. So.
I don't think it happens in the divisional. I think Dallas will have to go there. If Dallas, legitimately, I think Dallas probably does get there.
Mike McCarthy out coaching Kyle Shanahan.
Guys, listen. I'm going to tell you right now. Miami beats down on bad teams, can't win against good teams. The Chiefs fucking blow. I don't care what you say about their defense. They can be beat easily. The Browns, dogs. Nothing bad to say. We are big Browns fans here. Cowboys, really? Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott sliding with 8 seconds left on the fucking clock in the playoffs? They don't have it up here. The Lions, they wear Detroit on their chest. That's all I need to say about it. The Eagles. Josh, the Eagles. They're not doing it. It's not it. Nick Sirianni is cuckoo. Yeah, Nick Sirianni's back to like first ever press conference Nick Sirianni right now. It's bad. Rams, their worry is their secondary and their defense. It's not the greatest, but their offense, you could argue, is humming on the level of the 49ers and the Ravens. You could argue that right now, and that's why I think the Browns and the Rams.
When Stafford is on, he might be the best quarterback in the NFC.
Kyren Williams right now might be the most efficient running back behind Christian McCaffrey.
Agreed.
He's on one right now.
Well,
the
right
Bucks,
now, Christian McCaffrey can't walk. I think it's Kyren Williams.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The Bucks, the Bucks, really? No. The Packers, Joe Barry's defense? No. Sorry. The Jaguars? Yeah. Jaguars?
No.
No. The Bills? You want to talk about bad coaching?
I still think Buffalo can do it.
So hard.
Listen.
I'm with you, Ryan. I'm definitely rooting for the Texans.
I
love CJ.
Oh, yeah. I just want the Texans to be in the playoffs. Like, they'll lose in the wild card.
That's all I want. I want CJ Stroud to get there year one.
Yeah, I think
that's Ryan's to get there year one.
That'd be great. Do we think the Texans have? Although if the Texans they play the Browns.
Well, let me also be clear. I would much rather see Gardner Minshew.
It's true. The Colts have the 7th seed.
Speaking of Gardner Minshew, I would say that. So back to the discussion about like the Eagles and all that. Let's also give Nick Sirianni some grace. Losing Jonathan Gannon, our Cardinals are actually playing like fairly well, despite all of their their personnel issues. And then Shane Steichen to the Colts. I mean, we're talking about the Gardner Minshew in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a legitimate brain drain that just happened for the Eagles.
So what you're saying is Nick Sirianni's a bad head coach and relied on his coordinators.
No, I'm saying that Nick Sirianni
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm saying Nick Sirianni is not Kyle Shanahan, who's repeatedly lost coordinators year over year, which to say you're not Kyle Shanahan, okay, fine. But to have this much of a drop off, much of a drop off to say that the team is they've got 11 wins. Yeah. So it's like, okay, and they're still going to make the playoffs. So that's not bad. It's just that they've lost like 2 critical pieces of, the brain trust that made their Super run last year happen. And that's
here for Joe Flacco beating the 49ers again 11 years later in the Super Bowl.
I like that part of your note.
That's what I'm here for. And if the Ravens make it,
I cannot abide by the Browns winning the Super Bowl.
That would be rough for Bengals.
I can't.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I can't do it.
But what do we think the Super Bowl odds are? Ravens 49ers of the lights going out. What do we think that prop bet's going to look like?
Oh, I mean, probably
and how much money is going to be?
That's going to be the best odds. I mean, they're the 2 number 1 seeds.
It'll be like plus 500 or something like that.
Guys,
you think it'll be that low? I was thinking plus 2,000, something crazy like that.
I don't think you guys heard me. What are the odds on the prop bet of the lights going out?
The lights going
out. If the Ravens and the 49ers make the Super Bowl.
Oh. If the Ravens and 49ers get how
much money is put on yes?
Oh, it'll be solo because everybody's going to want to bet that.
Oh, no, everybody's going to want to bet. It's going to be like plus 9,000 at the very minimum because it's not going to happen. The no is going to be like minus 999,000.
Somebody's going to make that happen.
Oh,
somebody will make that happen.
Oh, 100%.
Someone with the right money in the right spot.
Yep. Oh yeah, somebody's going to make that happen.
Oh, what a show! Real quick, is Zamir White safe in Week 18?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
is he playing and having downs? Yeah, I mean pretty much. Yeah. And Squid says just secured a second ship in the last 5 years, going to 100% get 2 belts. Call me the champ. It's going to take a fucking army to take the belts off me. Wow, we love that, and I hope we helped with that. Maybe potentially. I don't know. What a good show. What a great show. Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Anytime, fellas.
Fun, man.
Thanks for coming on. One quick time, where can everybody find you and the work you do?
Find me on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX. Right now we're shifting into like playoff mode over at Fantasy Life. So doing like playoff picture, best ball streams like for the playoffs, but that's only for the next few days. Then after that, you'll find a lot of our the show I do with Dwayne McFarland, Ian Harditz. A lot of that would be like DFS focused. So we're helping people set their rosters like throughout the playoffs and all that. And then the off season research, probably another weather piece or two. That's my thing. But yeah, just hopefully get a chance to take a little bit more time off. But other than that, fantasylife.com, all the free stuff. Subscribe to the newsletter. I write it every Saturday. But yeah, come check us out.
Things we love to see. And I completely forgot. Look at this. Airing of the grievances is Saturday. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's a thing that we do.
Oh yeah.
Hooray. Very excited for that. Who disappointed you in 2023? We already shared a little bit of some stuff in here, but we bring on a plethora of people.
Ever that's going to be sponsored by the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Sponsored by Arthur Smith.
Yeah. Sponsored by Arthur Blank and Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Drive to Survive? They did not. They definitely did not. Look back shows will begin next week as well. We'll look back to the team previews, what we got right, what we got wrong. And then next week as well, Who's Your Caddy comes back with Kelly and Adam. Guys, I don't know if you play golf DFS, but if you don't, you probably should just listen to them because I'm pretty sure they made
free money.
A lot of people a lot of money last year. They were pretty
Kelly's really
good.
big into golf, isn't she?
She is
very big into golf.
Yeah.
And she has an entire algorithm for her DFS golf. And
she's good. In the slightest.
Yeah,
that woman
she's
is so
good.
Yeah,
she's very good. I golf with. She's very good with DFS. I golfed with her one time in Vegas. It was a fun golf outing. But yeah, no, she. I don't know what fucking magic pixie dust she puts out there, but her picks are pretty fucking good in DFS. We are 365. That's that fucked in my head. 366 next year, actually.
Yeah,
this coming year. 366 days. But yeah, we don't take the only week we take off is Thanksgiving.
Yep.
That's the only time you won't see a show, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. But we pop up all year round, so make sure to stay tuned, subscribe, join us all year round. We love it. We appreciate it. We know there weren't going to be many questions this week for pretty fucking obvious reasons. Yeah, but thank you to those that asked some. Thank you again, Chris, Josh, Ryan. You won't see me next week because I have a real job to do that pays me. So sadly, I won't be here. I don't know what team we're talking about, but I'll make sure to leave all my notes and thoughts on those teams.
And I'll be sure not to read.
Yeah, don't you worry. For Josh, Chris, Ryan, myself, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see